This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.
Before this conversation even begins, I find myself sitting up straight, putting my shoulders back, just improving my posture, because I don't want to be accused of having tech neck, apparently. We're going to talk about the neck, the cervical area within your body, how it can be affected by many things, including your cell phone, and just generally what's going on there when we have a tight neck or we just feel out of sorts when it comes to that. She has deep knowledge in this and so much more as the founder of Path to Wellness. And what do I mean by that? Oh, well, she's an RN, acupuncturist, massage therapist. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. I don't know if there's anybody I know that is more knowledgeable of physiology and explains it in a way that we can all understand. So great to have her back with us. Teresa Wilkinson, back on the program. How you doing today?
All right. I'm doing excellent today. Thank you. No
So
complaints.
I'm just, all right, let me get the first question out of the way because it's like, ask the question, Steve, ask it. When we crack our neck, like when we, go to the side, maybe to the other side, is that a bad thing?
I think it's a good thing because number one, you're stretching.
Okay.
Number two, you're lengthening, and then you're decompressing. Uh, in a way, it's a traction. You're tractioning, and so now I will say, if you're on the phone all day with your work and you have the phone on your shoulder all the time because you're typing on the computer, that's not good because then you're putting uh, imbalance in your neck.
Sure.
But to stretch it and actually get some cracks out of it, I think is a good thing because you may have something that's just a little bit out, and with that stretch, boom, you're getting it back in.
I mean, okay, disclaimer here. When doing it, not to go radical, I'm talking just about, just a gentle, turn.
Stretching.
Yeah, exactly. And it's interesting. I found that sometimes even when I shrug my shoulders up and then do it, I get more of a, call it a relief, a crack, whatever it is.
Right?
Yeah.
Because you're kind of getting the upper thoracic involved, and so that's good.
Hmm. So where do you want to begin on the cervical?
Well, I'll just go in. So when a lot of times I get patients, their main complaint might be their hands have some tingling and numbness, or they've got weakness in their arms and hands, or they may have stiffness. Then I'll ask, "How's your neck?" And they go, "Oh God, yeah, my neck is killing me." Or somebody may have headaches and dizziness. So it can be
Hmm.
different symptoms, but I know that it's going to be coming um, from those nerves. So of course, we've got the brain, and then we have the brain stem, which is the autonomic nervous system, and I always do those points across that. But I'm going to take us right over to our image so we can look at how it can come into place. Now, you'll have to let me know if that's uh, too
Oh,
much
that's
glare, if you can see it.
it is extremely, extremely clear.
Okay, good. So you can see how some of those nerves go up to the head so that can involve uh, a headache. This is kind of the base of the cranium and the brain, and so that's why I have heard of some traditional Asian acupuncturists that just do the points across there to heal everything because it's, you know, taking care of everything all the way down and then
Wow.
even up. But you can see where it's branching down off our shoulders, so you can see where we can get tension in our shoulders. And then there's a part that branches in front and then behind. So now I'm going to take us down to the hand. So one nerve will control thumb and the forefinger, and then the other nerve connects down to the last three fingers. So then you kind of know what branch. If they
Wow.
say, "Oh no, it's my thumb and my forefinger," oh no, it's my pinky and my last three fingers. So anyway, that kind of gives you a clue how it branches off of the spine and goes down the arms. So, and then this is another image showing how it's branching off the neck, going down the arms in a different
Wow.
way. So, now this is an armpit showing how the nerves are going through underneath. So sometimes people have frozen shoulders, and I'll have to go into the armpit area and work the arm to get that to release the frozen part. So then I'm going to take it up here, and you can see where it can affect even the ear and jaw. So, and then
Mm.
going up the head. Okay, so I just wanted to get, I think a picture's worth 1,000 words. So,
You know what? An eye opener, and for many, if you're listening and can't see it, it's amazing how this all interconnects with your neck. I mean, the hands. Almost every part of your body is originating from the neck. So if you have an issue there, um, like you said, if you feel tingling in your arm, if your hands, numbness there, it's would that be what they call, pinched nerve, that kind of thing?
you could, it can be a pinched nerve. So then we'll go into number one. You can have an age related wear and tear where you might have some bone spurs or disc degeneration. You may end up having a herniated um, disc, and then that's putting pressure on your nerve root. You could have spinal stenosis, which is actually a narrowing inside the spinal canal of the spine. It's a common problem, really. Um, Now, you can also have kind of weird deals, an enlargement of the joints that can cause pressure on the nerves. Um, Postural compression is going to be what we talked about earlier about technique. Now, you got to realize our um, head is about 20, 30 pounds. And if we're always looking down at our cell phone like that, that neck is having to support that.
Mm.
Now, the other thing is we've talked, you can also have, say, a trauma or injury, say, sports um, or a car accident, whiplash, things like that. And with those car accidents, a lot of times the insurance companies, uh, you want to get, you might not feel symptoms for say 3 to 6 months later. And then it comes forth
Wow.
because you may be going through shock or a different ache and pain in another way, and so the whiplash thing may come about later. So what is hurting the most at the time is what we are paying attention to, and then once that gets resolved, then the next thing, and then the next thing. So whiplash can come uh, and show us a little later. Now, I had a lady, and I'll have to just example it, but she came in, and I'll stand up for it. She was holding a water bottle like this, and it was heavy, because she's worried about getting that water in, drinking that water, getting enough water in. So she was carrying this around. And I said, "Well, where do you hurt?" And she goes, right here, and my fingers hurt." And so I thought, well, she's got this curled under, holding it, and I felt it, and it was very heavy. She had it full of ice, and it was um, a heavy container anyway, a large container. But she was just so worried that she was going to get enough water in every day that she was carrying that thing around, and it actually had her fingers deformed at a angle,
Oh my gosh.
and because of the way she was holding that darn thing. And so anyway, that's my first question is like, what are we working on? What's bothering you? Where does it hurt? And what's going on? And then that, that tells the story. But usually that was real obvious uh,
Mm.
to me on that one. But it was just that one. She said her mother came with her. She was a young woman, and her mother came with her, and she says, "I've been telling her that. I've been telling her that." I said, "Your mother's right.
Ah,
Listen to your mother. Your
oh,
mother's
how
right."
ironic, she tried to hydrate and created other medical
Problems.
issues.
Yeah,
Wow.
and she said my friends even asked me, "Why do you have to carry that around all the time? And is that a security blanket or something?" Because I tell her, I said, "Really, everywhere you are, say if you're at the desk doing your computer work," she was doing accounting. I said, "You can have a glass of water there, a bottle of water there." Of course, a lot of people have issues with plastics now, but whatever, but you can have that there. You don't have to carry that darn thing around. But anyway, that's kind of an example. But a lot of people have had some kind of, really, some kind of stress or injury. And then you look at football players, oh my. And then if you've ever watched the rodeo,
Oh,
have you ever watched the rodeo
oh
and
yeah.
watched the bucking Broncos and the bucking Bulls? I mean, these poor guys. I mean, they're like movie stars and all excited about making the big bucks, but they're killing themselves.
And
Uh,
they
some
have
of
a
them, some of
short
them are
window.
wearing, yeah, they do, and some of them are wearing a neck protection, but still, if you see the action that they're going through, it's pretty horrific. But one of my patients uh, did that when he was younger, and then it was right before he made the big money. He was up in Montana somewhere, and his wife, he ended up getting completely um, critically injured, where he had to be hospitalized, and his wife said, "That's it. We're not doing this anymore.
Wow.
You got to get a different job."
Even my friend was in the hospital last night with her son. I was at a football game playing. He's 14, and they had to quote unquote relocate his elbow. So I guess it was out. They had to put it back
Yeah,
in, and he had two minor fractures. So they thought he might need surgery. Literally last night, they said it, and they sent him home. So I don't think he needs that surgery. But there's a kid playing, ball, and look what can happen. Just it's
I
amazing.
know. And America is really big on their football. I mean, they are just fanatical about football. And because I've done this for so many years, we're going on 50 something years,
Hmm.
I have seen men, their whole life is ruined because of the surgical things that they've gone through. Like, say they make it through college, it happens in college, but then the rest of their adult life is compromised,
Right.
and then you have the pain, the suffering, living on pain pills and that kind of thing. And so so I do have, so there's a list of things that we can talk about as far as lifestyle improvements, posture, like you were talking about earlier. And but I wanted to mention, which I haven't yet, is we do carry these patches, and one of them is a stem cell activation. So I call it a stem cell patch, but it doesn't have stem cells that it's putting in you. It is a copper peptide that activates your own stem cells. So going back to that fact, we're electromagnetic. Copper conducts electricity. Peptides are a part of amino acid chain, and we're made of those. But when we're in utero and we're a baby, we have all these stem cells building our organs, building our brain, building our body. Then we're a little kid, we're growing up, and we have all these stem cells working to build our body as we grow, grow, grow. And then we become an adult, and the stem cells go dormant because they're not needed anymore for us to grow. So, But doing these patches that activate our dormant stem cells, we can actually renew, just like you've heard of them doing now stem cell injections in knees or shoulders
Sure.
or, so it's, and that's about 10,000 at the least to harvest your own stem cells, which come from, it's the largest flat bone of your body, which is the sacral area, and they actually get the bone marrow from you to, and they add it with placenta and spin it and make it to where they can re-inject it. Now there's also the PRP, which is taking your blood and spinning it and taking the serum. That's not as powerful as the stem cell itself. And then I've heard of like cancer centers like MD Anderson, and I don't want to speak out of turn, but I think that they do some stem cell therapy to heal cancer now. But
Mm.
the stem cell thing is becoming more and more a, a thing, and especially saving your knees from having to have knee replacements, etc. But these patches work. I always say, put it where you need it. If your low back's hurting, put it on your low back. If your neck is hurting, put it on your neck. If you have like the elbow, say you've got a tennis elbow, put it on that elbow. I've got a man that has limited vision, and he's been putting it around his eye, and he says it's helping his vision. But there's a lot of testimony on even children with autism and things like that. And there was a child I saw a video of that had, it was probably 8 years old. He'd gone through COVID and it affected his whole nervous system. And he had to be strapped in a high chair. He had to have a feeding tube. He couldn't eat. He had to have help eating, and swallowing was difficult. So the people that came to visit had these patches, and they put, I think, two or three on. You're supposed to only do one, but because of his severe case, they put like two or three on him. And the next morning, he was already setting up by himself and
Wow.
eating. So it really, because of his youth, it kicked in those stem cells and really had a drastic improvement right away. I have a patient she's had chronic migraines all her life, and she's now in her later 70s. And I got her to do them, and she quit having migraines. So
Amazing.
I'm getting a lot of great, you might want to call them miracles in a way, really, for results from people doing these. The company also makes an anti-inflammatory, which is real helpful. Uh, they also have one for sports that has a stem cell activated with the sport. So you have a faster recovery time. Say you're doing a tournament and you need to have a faster time. Say you're in a baseball tournament or something. And then the other application was an L-glutamine, which is a detoxes your muscles. And I had a patient that it had a huge, it was like a cyst about the size of your hand from doing a B complex shot, but the product had been expired, and it had a bad reaction in her muscle. And instead of having it cut out, which would leave a hole, I put that L-glutamine patch on there, and within the day and she had been dealing with this for 9 months. Within the day, that thing opened up, and we got it to drain. We put paper towels all over and like leaned her over in the sink and pressed down, and this milky blood all came out and almost filled up the sink and completely drained that whole thing.
Oh my
And
gosh.
it had never had any kind of hole or anything that you could puncture to deal with it. So it was an odd situation, but I was really impressed how well that worked. But going back to our neck, things we can do for our neck. One thing that's interesting, and I've been personally working with this um, to really work with my gait, and I've had two knee surgeries, working with my legs, but also my posture is Pilates. And a lot of people haven't heard of Feldenkrais, but Feldenkrais has been around like 60 or 70 years for a long time, but it's more about movement. But the Pilates and Feldenkrais, um, it's a little bit, and it's also called the Alexander technique,
Oh,
but
I'm
it's
aware of that. I've done podcasts on the Alexander technique.
okay, okay. So you're working with smaller muscle groups, almost isometric, but you are doing some repetitions. It's a little different than yoga, but
Hmm.
along the same line of yoga, but working smaller muscle groups. Like to work my knees, I got a personal trainer that's helping me. We first started out with toe exercises and working toes
Wow.
and then ankles and all that started working, all the tendons and ligaments going up to my knees, to those smaller tendons and ligaments inside the knees.
Isn't it
And so,
amazing, Teresa, how much is out there? And many of us are unaware that Alexander technique, which basically releases tension in different parts of your body,
yes,
FM Alexander began sharing what he found 150 years ago.
yes, yes,
Like,
yes. It's this stuff's been around a long time now. One thing was interesting is he was helping me with my core, but it was straining my neck. And then
hmm,
he said, focus more on getting that belly button back to your back. We've talked about the belly before. And so it was is that concept of really working more on tightening my belly. And it did. It took the pressure off my neck. So I was the exercises that I was doing by focusing on that core and belly actually took the stress off my neck instead of my neck stressing to do it. Now, this can also apply going back to children and parents picking their kids up,
hmm.
or anybody like a UPS driver or Amazon driver picking up packages. Believe it or not, we use a lot of neck. Not only you think of low back strain, but really our neck is involved because you're using your arms to pick that up. Well, what's that lead to? But using these muscles in here.
I mean, the trapezoids within your neck hold so much. We don't even realize what's going on.
And it's a large muscle. Yes, it's true.
I've been told I'm far from the fitness fanatic, far, but I
You don't
had
have time.
I I had a trainer, I don't know, maybe 3 years ago, who said, whatever you're doing, stop doing anything for your trapezoids because they're fully formed and they're actually you got too much going on there. You don't need to worry about. I'm like, I'm not doing anything. It's just, maybe back in the day I did stuff. But I'll bet you they hold a lot of tension, like you're saying. And then where does that go? Your neck, your back, and all of it. We're out of time. I could just keep going. This is
Oh my God,
fascinating.
we just didn't even barely get started.
Ah,
But of course, heat and cold, and then there's also different supplements. I could go on. Maybe we'll pick up next week,
yeah,
and
because
we
this
can talk
is,
a little bit about blood pressure and while we're at
oh, you know what? Mine is lower now, knowing what's going on because so
it.
many of us, oh, I got my fingers are tingling. Yeah, there could be other reasons for it, but like we said, many times it can tie back into your neck and your posture and all of that, and we don't realize it. It's
And make
amazing.
sure your computer screen is at a good level for you.
Then there's that.
Because we're using a computer in any work we're doing.
We take that so much for granted because we just do it. We've been doing it for
Yeah.
how long now? Right, especially with the phone. We don't even realize we're holding a phone right in front of us. Really, it's become such a natural thing, but it's unnatural
And if you think about everybody, especially kids, but everybody that's scrolling and looking at their cell phone all the time,
all the time.
we're going like that. I mean, we really take that for granted too.
We really, yeah, we do. We do.
But
And
anyway,
thank you for all of this insight today. Anybody wants to connect with you, best way is it tulsapath.com?
yes, yes. And you can also message me on Facebook, which is The Path to Wellness, and in Tulsa, Oklahoma. because there's a lot of wellness sites out there, but the Path to Wellness Tulsa, and then the website. You can also find us the Path to Wellness Tulsa, but Tulsa Path is the exact website. But you can call the office, and then my cell phone is 918-261-9062. You can always text me.
Yeah, because she's always looking at her phone.
Like after I see my patients.
Yeah,
Just know it may be after hours that I
You know
see.
what? Your patients are keeping your cervical area in a better place because you don't look at your phone while you're with patients. You know what I'm saying? If not,
Well, I am bending over,
well, yeah, okay. And
working
yeah,
on them. But if I'm working on the head, I do have stools at each end of the table. So I do try to work with correct posture while I'm working.
I think
But
it's just
still,
awareness, being aware of where your body is and what it's doing, because it may be doing an unnatural movement, i.e., looking at your phone. Just to be aware. Thank you.
oh,
Every
yeah,
time.
what I've noticed is just standing at the kitchen counter, you can just be leaning on one side, and that's gonna, with your foot and hip, and then put you off that way. It's awareness. You're correct.
Always great talking with you. I love your
Okay.
passion and all the info and the insight, Teresa. Looking forward next time we get together.
Okay. All right. We'll see
Appreciate
you.
it. We'll be right
Okay.
back.
This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.